All right, so it's December 13, 2017, 6:38 p.m. I would like to welcome all and call to order this regular board meeting of Harmony Public Schools. We have 4 board members present, so we have quorum. Dr. Koch is on his way. I'm not sure, I guess Mr. Keskin is also going to be late. I haven't heard from him. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear it.
We have Shannon and Conrad Francis here to appeal the expulsion decision. You have 3 minutes to address the board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
We're here this evening to appeal to the board about our son's expulsion decision. This was his first offense. And after having multiple meetings at the school, we feel as though that the decision to expel him from Harmony was harsh, being that this was his first offense. And he did not act alone. Even though the female students complained against him, 2 of the female students, one being recorded on a video footage, it showed that that female student interacted and engaged my son first. Second female student, she indicated on her written statement that they both messed around. So I feel as though he was judged harshly. This has been an eye-opener for all of us. I'm sure all of you this has been an eye-opener for us. I'm sure all of you have seen the news, the media about this type of situation, this systemic issue that's going on in the world today, not just with my son, but professionals, artists, TV stars, politicians. He is a 15-year-old teenage boy who made a mistake. He engaged in inappropriate behavior, yes, but I don't feel as though the consequence fit the crime. I think it was too harsh. He is sorry for his actions. That's not who he is, that's not his character. And I'm here to appeal the decision, not because I want him to return to Harmony, but because I don't want this to hinder him in moving forward with his education. We are applying to other high schools, and I don't want this to be a negative reflection on him. So I ask you to take that into consideration in my appeal.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, this was the only comment.
That's the one. Thank you. So our first item is, the board will, the item after that is the consideration of that appeal. So, but we have first the first rating hearing from all Harmony Public Schools charter districts. It's just too loud. Kelly, is IT there? Just too loud, too echo.
Good evening, board chairman and board members and the superintendent and the guests. This is time of the year that we do every year that we announce our financial ratings. It's called First Rating, Financial Integrated Rating System of Texas. Belongs to last fiscal year, 2016-2017 school year. Again, financial rating data comes a year after, year late. So this is 16-17 financial ratings based on 15-16 data. This is supposed to be, we are required to announce these ratings in a public hearing. And before this hearing, which we held today, hearing ads run in two times. One is in November 15 between November 15 and November 29th, and another one in one week later of that date. We run those ads in local papers in 12 different cities: Houston, Bryan, Beaumont, Dallas, Waco, Austin, San Antonio, Brownsville, Laredo, El Paso, Lubbock, and Odessa, as required by the law. As you know, this board is the official board for 7 different Harmony districts. So we have prepared 7 different public hearing documents. Those documents are available on back there for public to get a copy. There are 7 different sets, and each set has more than 10 copies, enough for every board member and every public member. Also, board members has these items in their PDF agenda and minute documents. The law requires us to include last 2 years first rating results, so 2016-17 ratings and 2015-16 rating is included in this package. And board also asks us to include a management report. Management report includes superintendent, CEO, current contract copies, including the original contract and the salary amounts. Also, reimbursements received by the superintendent and the board members also included in this for 2015-2016 fiscal year. They are specific on the board report. And also, any gifts received by the board members, any board members during that time, and also any business transaction occurred between the school, the organization, and the board members. As a summary of management report, superintendents and CEOs, both current contracts are included in the package, and with their salary amounts as well. Reimbursement received by the superintendent and the board members for 2015-2016 school year included. It is reported that $75,000 reimbursement is paid for superintendent and the CEO at that time. And there is only $2,000 reimbursement for one board member at that time. And before anybody asks any question, it's for charter school conference attendance. Those reimbursements are breakdown by meals, lodging, and transportation, as Commissioner's TA guidelines requires us to do. If there's any, and there's no gifts received by our board members in that time frame, and no business transaction has been reported or done with the board members by the school. If there is no other question, that part of the report is same for every district. I can move forward to each rating.
Sure.
There's no question?
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay. So, rating is same for all districts because all of districts got 100%. So I just picked Austin district. They all get 10 points for every criteria. So first page on the district report is this page. I'll show it to camera as well, this page. This page is a summary. It gives the districts DN number, campus district number, and status is passed. Harmony Science Academy Austin, again it's same for all 7 districts. Harmony Science Academy Dallas Fort Worth, Harmony Science Academy Houston South, Houston North, Houston West, El Paso, and San Antonio. And all districts got A superior rating, and charter school score is same with every district, is 100%, while passing score is only 60%, 60 points. Sorry. So next page is detailed numbers. I will try to go through that very quickly. Some data, some information might not be very familiar with you, but if you have a question, I can answer. There's 15 questions, 15 criteria in the first rating. First 5 being pass and fail type of criteria. If you fail any of the first 5, you fail the rating. We pass all of them. Number 1 is annual financial report submitted to the TA, the agency, timely. Our annual financial report is our audit, and it's adopted by you during last board meeting and submitted next day to the agency. So it's timely submission. The second question asks about unmodified opinion. If the auditor, Mr. Gomez in our case, would issue an unmodified opinion, the answer is yes, so we pass that. If it was not yes, then 2B applies. Anyways, number 3 is, did we, charter holder, we are in compliance with all debt agreement, debt obligations? And answer is yes. So we passed. So we did not default any of our debt. Again, if we default any of our debt, we are failing charter first rating. But we are not. We never.
What does this debt, does it include the bonds and everything else?
Yes,
or just
mainly, yes, sir. It's mainly bonds and loans. And any other obligations that school. Some may argue that leases might be part of it, but it's not that clear. So, but plainly it is the bonds and the loans and other payments.
Okay.
Number 4 is, did charter school make timely payments to teacher retirement system and Texas Workforce Commission payments on time? Answer is yes. It's within 24 hours, and another one is within 7 days. We have to submit them to related agency. We do that every time. Number 5 is the charters. Each charter is different again. Each district is different. Net asset balance is more than 0. So if charter is negative 1 year and negative another year, and they accumulated, they used all their accumulated assets, if they are negative, they fail, unless charter growth 10% in the last 5 years. None of our districts has negative balance, so we passed. Number 6 through number 15, 10 items, they are weighted, 10 points, 0 points to 10 points. Number 6, cash, days of cash on hand. Each district required to have more than 60 days. 60 days is 10 points. Less than 20 days is 0. 50 is 8, etc. So since our average is 100 days in that fiscal year, all of our districts have more than 60, so they all got 10 points.
Could you say it again? You said more than 60 days, 60 or more days up to 100, you get 10 points?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If it is 60, they get 10 points. We have 100, so it is 10 points.
Number 7 is current assets to current liabilities. Current means our current available, 12 months available, our assets, our cash and investments, etc. divided by current liabilities, our debt, current liabilities. It's supposed to be more than 2 to get 10 points, and all of our districts got 10 on that short-term debt criteria. Number 8 is long-term liabilities to long-term assets. All of our districts get 10 because this provision says if it is not, if the district has 10% or more growth within 5 years, they automatically get 10 points. All of our districts grow more than 10% within the last 5 years, so we got 10 points. Otherwise, our districts got 2, 4 points, etc. Number 9 is district revenues are higher, more than their expenditure. In other words, their surplus is positive. But there's a nice thing there is TA gives us a room there, depreciation is not included. So depreciation expense is taken out. All of our districts pass this criteria. Houston North and San Antonio district in 15-16 school year finished negative in their budgets, but their depreciation was higher than their negative surplus. Number 10, debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet required debt service. TA asked us to have 1.2, and all of our districts met that criteria, 1.2, in that fiscal year. Number 11, charter schools administrative cost ratio. In this criteria, charter agency classifies districts with less than 500 students, 500 to 1,000, and 1,000 and more students. All of our districts have more than 1,000 students. So to get full points, we have to have more than 0.14. All of our districts in that range, 0.14. All of our districts are getting 100%. Again, the administrative cost ratio calculated based on function 21 expenses and function 41 expenses, basically cluster office expenses and central office expenses, divided by function 11, function 12, function 13 expenses. They are instructional expenses, library expenses, and staff development expenses. So that ratio has to be more than 14%. I'm sorry, less than 14%. And all of our districts had less than 14%, and they got 10 points. Number 12 is if charter school loses a student, enrollment loss, then TA asked this question. All of our districts gain students, so it doesn't apply us. All of our districts got 10 points on this. Number 13, if audit report, annual financial report, audit report, Mr. Gomez's report meets with our PIMS data within 3% error margin. Yes, it does, so we got 10 points here as well. And number 14 is our annual financial report, the audit report that Mr. Gomez prepares, is free of any instance of material non-compliance in terms of grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, and federal funds. And our audit did not disclose any findings, any material findings on the issue. So we got 10 points. And the last one, if the district asks TA for adjusted repayment schedule due to financial hardship, we don't even know what it is. We've never been through that financial hardship. So we got 10 points on this. So 15-16 year data gives us 16-17 year first rating with 100% passing. Again, the following pages has previous year data, the same data for 15-16 years. And the following pages has the management report. And again, superintendent reimbursement, board member reimbursements. And then any gifts received by board members, none. Business transaction between board members and school, none. And the superintendent and current superintendent CEO contracts are attached here. Again, the board right now holds this public hearing on behalf of 7 districts in serving 12 different cities. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
This has the Mr. I's current contract. Since this is 2016, shouldn't be the CEO or superintendent at the time, the contract of that?
Yes, sir. For the reimbursements, there's a timeline on the management report. It specifically says from July 1st to June 60 of 2017. But the contracts, they say superintendent's current contract.
Current. Oh, okay.
And again, in our organization, we have superintendent and CEO. It was previously discussed with the agency. They say both has to be disclosed.
Okay. But all the financial data is about the 2016 fiscal year. Okay.
So this is our rating for the fiscal year ended, but the data is based on the previous year. So it's kind of really confusing.
And then the contracts are current. We have 3 layers.
Reimbursements like last year, data from last year. First rating data from
Dr.
3 years ago.
After serving 2 years in finance committee, this start to make sense to me. So it makes sense.
Just now.
Again, this is part of a transparency effort. So everything is available on the tables right there. And our contracts are spent and salaries are already posted on the website. It's been always on the website. A contract is not on the website because we are hearing this public hearing.
Sure.
Let's go back and look at This says page 6 in the packet, but I think it's probably page 3. And you're looking at the indicator number 2. You have 2A and 2B. Yeah? And so for example, under the San Antonio, the question for 2A says, was there an unmodified opinion in the AFR on the financial statements as a whole, et cetera, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
the answer for that is yes. Is it contingent on that answer being yes? Why 2B doesn't have any kind of an indicator in it?
The 2A, 2B kind of works weird way, and thank you for catching that. If you fail 2A, then TA asks you 2B.
Right, okay. So
And if you pass 2A, you don't answer, or we answer that, but it prints out that way. So
okay.
Our audit is free of any material weaknesses.
So that
our
dash
answer should be
that you
yes.
have in 2B, should that be a no, or you just leave it like that?
Yes, it should be yes. But the report, if you answer yes on 2A, you don't, they skip you, they ask you to skip 2B.
Okay, so it's really a template that actually skips it.
It is direct printout from the TA's report. This is not my report, this is TA's report. By the way, this report is available on TA's website to all public. Anybody can print it out, and it's printed out that way. We did not answer those questions. TA takes those data from our audit reports, our PIMS report, and they fill it out. We don't answer, we don't do that.
Okay, very good, thank you.
It's like academic rating. They test the students, they grade the students, they give us a rating. So they get the data, TA gets the data, they grade the data and gives us the rating.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? This is a public hearing. Thank you, Dr. Akildas, and we are very glad to hear we have 100% for all districts. So I think this is an information item. We don't need to, it's a hearing, right?
Yes, sir. Since it's hearing, we have a signing document. I'm going to pass it around here. If you just, everybody make sure they sign it, it's really appreciated. Thank you very much.
Start with the audience. We are here
Yes, you're here for
until very late, so audience might be. All right, thank you, Dr. Akildas. Still echoing. So our next item is consideration of student expulsion appeal from Harmony School of Ingenuity. And at this moment, we will go into closed session as permitted by and in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551071 and Chapters 551082 and 551081. So I ask everyone to step outside, please. We are going to go in closed session. 8:14 p.m. We are back into regular session. The board members, we had discussions. We did not take any action. So is there a motion?
I move that the board overturns the decision to expel the student involved in this appeal and direct the interim CEO to impose lesser discipline and required training in accordance with discussions in closed session if the student re-enrolls in any Harmony School.
Anybody seconding this motion?
I second that.
All right, everyone in favor of, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, everyone. So our next item is fiscal year 2017.
I think they're confused.
The
Yep, we
motion,
can hear you.
okay, the expulsion is overturned with, you want to read the motion?
Sure. I'll read it again.
Do you want to explain it?
Just explain it.
Yes, okay.
Mary, you want to explain?
Yeah, I think that the motion was to overturn the expulsion, but that there would be some discipline. Mary, can you talk about that? And that to overturn the expulsion, that there would be some discipline imposed if you were to re-enroll in any Harmony school, because it's our understanding that he is not enrolled in the school. Okay, so if you don't, then it's probably nothing's going to come of it, but if you were, then the motion was to authorize the interim CEO to impose discipline less than expulsion and to provide some training. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure. It's up to you. Thank you. All right, so again, our next agenda item is agenda item 6, approval of previous board meeting minutes of November 15, 2017. So I read it wrong the last time.
I make a motion to approve the minutes since I already read them thoroughly, except for one correction and a misspelling. And I make a motion to approve them with the correction on the misspelling on page. It's under.
Okay, you let Mr. Lambert know.
Okay.
With that correction, you made the motion. Anybody seconding this motion?
Second.
All right, everyone in favor of approving previous board meeting minutes of November 15, say aye. Aye. They are approved. All right, so now it's the fiscal year 2017 annual financial report presentation.
Mr. Odinyu is going to present the reports for us.
This is supposed to say
I'm sorry.
2016, 2017, or 2017, 2018? 16, 17. Okay.
Mr. Adams. Last month, our auditor presented our report, and our report is presented in a format that required by the TEA. So it's financial statements, financial reports, but mainly the public and the board members looking for some more detailed information. This is what we gathered from our previous presentation. So this is a snapshot, this report is a snapshot of last year financial performance of our all 7 districts. And we reviewed that for quite a bit of time in Finance Committee meeting last week, Monday, with the members present, 2 board members present. So if you look at, I'm not sure how it's presented on your documents, but if you look at, I'd like to start with, we decided to cover 4 pages out of this 29-page report. If you look at page 3, this page. This slide talks about Harmony's revenues, and mainly Harmony receives 3 sources of revenue. One is called local sources of revenue. It's about $12 million. It makes 3.8%, about 4% of our total revenue. The major revenue source is state funds, and they make $271 million of our revenue, which makes 87%. And federal revenues is $29 million. Again, it's the other numbers. Little numbers are in the tables, which is 9%. So basically, we have 87% from the state of Texas, 9% from the government, and about 4% from local sources. All of you will know what is 9% federal, 87 state, 3.8 or 4% from local revenue. So state revenues are ADA funds, generally we will talk about it in the future, one more slide. But local revenues is a general question. Local revenues are classified as local revenues because financial guide has read, tells us that this local revenue is not just what campus raises. Main funds on local revenue, it's 240. 240s are lunch funds that we collect from students. So paid students pay money for lunch, so it's recorded on local revenue, and those monies goes back to the kids, so it's not an extra revenue. 288 is our IRS direct subsidy funds. It's about $2.7 million. It's local revenue. Due to guidelines, it's supposed to be. IRS direct subsidy is also board members need to know about it. We received $2.7 million direct subsidy payments. It's our tax exempt bonds that Q bonds during the recession, where those tax payments investors are reimbursed back to the school in terms of payments. But it's on the jeopardy with this new tax reform. As you know, we don't know what's going to happen exactly with the tax reform, but it's likely that this funds will disappear starting next year. About 2.7 million every year. Again, this is just a speculation now, but the current draft has them consecutively done. And there are some interest funds. Interest revenue is coded there about $750,000. Rent revenue is coded there about $900,000. And some refunds like insurance claims, property damage claims, coded there is about $500,000. So, and also $5.6 million is school activity funds that students fundraise money at school. That makes about $12 million. But out of this slide, I think the important thing to remember is about 90% of our revenue comes from state, less than 10%, about 10% comes from federal, only 4% is about this minor items. Any questions about this? And they have breakdowns and they were available to you, I will last week. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Next slide, we want to cover this page 6. This page, state revenue, fund 420. Again, this is the largest fund, so we want to talk about a little detail about this. And the important thing is, state revenue is per ADA, and it's not same for every district. It's not the same for every campus. If you look at Üstün West, for example, this is the lowest per ADA. So in Üstün West district, a student present in the classroom all year long is paid $8,562, whereas next to this, Üstün South, a student is generating $9,137. So there's a difference. As you see, our average is about 8,842, but this 6 grades. So it's important to understand that each student's weight is different. In one upcoming slide, we will review that quickly why it happens. Any questions?
So the ADA average daily attendance comparison, Y-O-Y is year over year. So it's a 2-year comparison, correct? On that particular page, I'm looking at it on the graph.
Yes, this is, this is per ADA revenue. For each this is on the graph. So our district is, as Üstün South has the largest amount per student. Üstün West has the lowest amount per student per ADA. I missed the question.
Which, can I see the slide we're looking at again?
Page 6.
Okay, that's it. Gotcha. I was actually looking at the slide before you. I'm sorry. So really the majority of what we have is coming from the ADA.
Yes, sir. And next slide is page 8, and the page number is not shown with nice over there. And I apologize to Finance Committee members, they already warned me about this, but we don't have time. And apparently our budget director is colorblind. I noted your comments, I'm sorry.
Our computer tells us what page it is up.
This page, page 8, state revenue, fund 420. And this explains why. So if you look at total state income in the first column, as you see, total state aid is 268,000. And the next column shows the breakdown per district each time. I'm just going to go through the total numbers. As you see, there are Tier 1 and Tier 2 funds. Tier 1 and Tier 2 funds are per ADA. A student comes to our school, they get funded almost same way. But the same child can be GT, means gifted talent. If this child is qualified for GT services, up to a certain percentage per campus, we qualify to get money. And out of our 100% or 100% state aid, only 79% comes from the basic allotment, which is equal for everyone, but about 0.5% from GD students. So we are paying 1.1 million for gifted attendance students for our schools. Again, these are not entitled funds, these are from state funds. Next column is CT, career technology. We 3.2% Our revenue of state revenue comes from career technology. Special ed is 5.8%. If a child is special education, we also get IDB funds, but this is what the state government subsidizes that. And ESL is through ESL, we get some funds for that as well. Compensatory education, this is the money we receive for free and reduced students. And it makes about 24 million, about 90% of our funds. Again, 90% of our all funds from state and about 10% of them comes from free-reduced kids. High school, students get a little more money, but it's about less than 1%. And other programs, there are some small programs as well. So this is how why districts deviate their fundings, everyday funding. Some districts have more free-reduced lunch, so they get more funding. Some district has less free-reduced, they get less funding. If there's any question about this. And page 11, next page we'd like to cover is page 11.
This GT, CT, I think the special ed and ESL are federal. Are these all federal programs, like this money, or GT and CT are state?
This page, they're all
state. Even SPED and ESL are state funds? From state? Okay.
State says the federal government cares about ESL students and economic disadvantaged students, etc. But state says we also care about it. So they, on the formula, if you're more, every student who has special education gets funds from state as well. So again, 100%, and it's the breakdown, 79%, 0.4%, so that all state funds come from this breakdown. Next slide is slide 11, page 11. All district expenditures by function and major object codes. Now we are talking about the expenditures. And there's lots of graphs, but I just want to say this, if you look at the chart, pie graph, as you see, instruction is 63% of our expenditures. Direct instruction is 63%. While school leadership is 7%, and student services is about 5%. Those three is directly going to the school for education, so directly to the campus. So if you add it up, it's 75% of our funds directly goes to the campus, which is way higher than general average. About 6% goes to administration. As you see on first grading, admin cost ratio is higher than state expectation. That's one reason. And we combine maintenance and debt service. They're both school campus maintenance, like all maintenance efforts, and debt service, all the payments for the buildings and leases. They all make about 19% of our budget. Again, districts has different funds. School district has different funds for building and maintenance funds, MOE. So 75% for direct use for campuses, for the students, 6% for administration, 19% for the facilities and the maintenance of facilities. And I have only one left. The last one is page 28. This is again, this is not page before, this is the page before the last, and page number is not visible. Summary, all funds system-wide. Summary, all funds system-wide.
Slide 166. 166.
This shows a summary of each district's budget performance last year in one graph, in one screen. So if you look at the bar graph on the top, it shows Austin district had about $38 million revenue and about same amount of expenditure. So they finished positive 100,000, about 0.7% 0.3% surplus. El Paso, $32 million revenue, and the surplus was 1.2 million. It's about 4%. Dallas Fort Worth, $93 million revenue. They finish about 4%, the best performing district. Houston North, their revenue is about 42 million. Their expenditure is about 42.8 million. And they finished about negative 900,000, negative 2.2%. Houston South finished with 200,000 positive, about 0.6%. I'd like to remind you all that our goal for this year was 0%. So, average we hold we meet the criteria. Houston West finished with 1.8%. San Antonio finished with negative 65,000, which is 0.2 negative%. And central office, we talked about that last during board Mr. Gomez's presentation. Central office finished negative because we want to keep negative so that we are not going to charge more to the school districts, allowing them to spend more money for students. So system-wide, we finished with 1% surplus. And the bar graph shows expenditures and revenues. So we budgeted bar put out this report based on the audited financials. These are solid numbers. And we are open to, this is for the public and decision makers to be more informed and more better informed. So we are open to any discussions, any suggestions, any improvement requests, any things, and we don't have to, you can send us an email from our CEO and let us know an expectation. And we spent lots of time with question and answers in the finance committee with this report.
Actually, we went through this report in more details in the finance committee, and Daisy and myself were in the committee, and we suggested that instead of the entire report, these pages should be discussed in the board meeting. So these are the pages chosen by the board members.
Very good.
It's very difficult to sit here and listen to it again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akyıldız. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. So thank you, Dr. Akyıldız. This is an information item, right? Okay. All right, so our next item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Finance Committee meeting on December 4th, 2017.
This is my last slide.
Okay. Reports.
Finance Committee met on December 4th, 2017 at 6:45 p.m. with Dr. Koch and Ms. Morales. And there was, we had a little introduction presented for Ms. Morales because it was her first board meeting. And afterwards there was an approval for billboard in San Antonio, and it was awarded. And also we have changed our insurance brokerage firm to get better represented in the field. It was a firm better represented outside organizations. And this budget department report for audit was presented with you. And also there was a fee waiver request, but it was granted. And there was a closed session. There was no item during that closed session. There was no action taken after the closed session. There was some updates only, and we didn't adjourn it then.
Right. Anything we need to know particularly?
Anything you would like to add?
The new committee members?
No, it was a very thorough.
It was very thorough.
Very thorough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So then, do we have a motion?
Then I make a motion to approve the minutes and all the actions of the Finance Committee meeting, which was held on December 4th.
Anybody seconding this motion?
Second.
All right, everyone in favor of approving this motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
They're approved. Thank you, Dr. Gillis. The next item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Facilities and Construction Committee meeting on December 5th, 2017. Good evening. Yeah, I think we turned it off. Okay.
Okay. So we had 3 items to discuss, and one of the first item was I should go through the first item was the review and consider approval of co-op proposal award for HSA Plano Playground project. The project was approved as submitted, and the total amount for this project was $77,776.53. And our second item was a ratification item, review and consider ratification of HSA Grand Prairie AC repairs emergency project. And this item was ratified as submitted by our committee. And our last item was review and consider ratification of Harmony School of Science Houston Flood Recovery Emergency Project. And this item was again ratified by our committee, and a meeting was adjourned. We recommend approval for our minutes.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kuse. Any questions, comments?
All right, so I'll go ahead and make a comment just as a follow-up for the benefit of the board members. We did say that we wanted to put in place mechanisms for preventative maintenance.
Yes.
So kudos to Dr. Kose and his team. They actually did purchase the license for school to do it.
Yes.
And they've actually started inputting that data. Now, the good thing about this is, if you recall, we're looking at actually getting away from a knee-jerk reaction and response to when things break and get to a point where we can do preventative maintenance so that we can address it ahead of time. What this actually does is allow us to build a database where we can go from preventative maintenance to predictive maintenance. And as that database builds, then we'll be able to realize the savings that we'll have from something like this. And so that's being put in place. And I just wanted to make that comment that we're indeed following through on what we said we would. And kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you very much for your support, sir.
All right. So with that, are you making a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the Facilities and Construction Committee meeting, the minutes, as held on December the 5th.
Anybody seconding?
I second.
All right, everyone in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Kuse.
much. Thank you.
All right, so the next action item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the academic committee meeting on December 8, 2017.
Good evening, board members. Our academic committee met on December 8 with the agenda items, request for exemption from compensation manual by Harmony Science Academy El Paso for teacher retention purposes, update on our high school handbook policies, teacher incentive fund baseline year 1 evaluation report. The first item was presented by our El Paso area superintendent, Mr. Kaya. The El Paso district requested an exemption from the compensation manual for their Lubbock and Odessa campuses. Last year, the Lubbock and Odessa campuses did meet their Index 1 state requirement, but they did have a teacher retention challenge. The teacher retention is an issue that Odessa and Lubbock cities always have to face with. And the retention issue is very important because it's very difficult to find teachers in those two cities. So they wanted to request an exemption from the requirement that they increase their index 1 score by 1% because the teachers over there are expecting to receive the bonus, and the morale and the retention are very important. So he made his case, he defended his case, and the board, the academic committee has asked questions. So because of the importance of the retention issue there, the board decided to grant this, the academic committee decided to grant this exemption and recommend to the board the approval for the exemption request. The second item was a high school handbook update that was triggered by a visit from Texas Education Agency. Texas Education Agency Career and Technical Education Division started a visit to 3 Harmony campuses. Every year they select about 25 campuses in the state of Texas, and these are mostly on equity and accessibility issues. This is called the methods of administration. And what they have noticed was in our student handbook, when we have identified a section for students with disabilities, and the section is titled Graduation Options for Students with Disabilities. They do not approve that we do highlight sections such as these where we talk about a class of students but not a program. So they wanted us to remove that section. So we're asking that update, and we've submitted that to the academic committee, which also recommended that update. The last item was the presentation of the Teacher Incentive Fund Baseline Year 1 Evaluation Report. The report is prepared by CTAC, which is Community Training and Assistance Center. They are our evaluators for the Teacher Incentive Fund, TIF grant. And this report has been presented by Dr. Yilmaz, and there are some findings that really highlight some of our successes, and there are also some recommendations for improvement for growth. Some of the celebrations, the areas for celebration include, and the data they collected was basically they looked at our students' data, achievement data. They also did surveys with our administrators, with our teachers. So some of the things that they have identified about Harmony as strengths were, number one, we do have high expectations of our students. And number two, we also ask our teachers to go above and beyond to help our students. They also looked at our NWA MAP growth data, and they also found that there was significant growth in areas in math, reading, science and social studies, and especially in secondary grades. They also found that the longer Harmony students stayed with Harmony, and they looked at students who have been with us since 2013, and they've identified that as students stayed longer with Harmony, their growth was increased. So there was big growth for students who have consistently stayed at Harmony. Another thing that they've mentioned was there was good, the system believed that central office usually had good intentions. That's something that they said comparing Harmony with other school districts in the nation. Some of the improvement areas included improving communication. The grant started last year, around November, December, in the middle of the year. And some of the initiatives had to start in spring semester. So there was not enough time for communication, but they recommended that we have a communication task force. So we're going to build this task force starting with the academic team and including our other departments and some of the campus and cluster members. So we hope to provide more communication. One of the examples they gave was the teachers in our system do not clearly understand a career path that is in front of them. So That's one of the recommendations, and that's what TIF is about. It's about building career pathways for teachers, doing professional development, evaluating them, giving them performance bonuses, but at the same time showing them a career path. So we will increase our communication about this. So we will improve the professional development opportunities. That was another area for growth that they have recommended. And we're going to improve professional development options. We will also give them more choices, such as second semester we are starting more professional development and compensation bonus opportunities for our non-tested teachers. Also, they've recommended more consistency and a longer time of serving for our school principals. So those were some of the recommendations they made, and they will be publishing this report every year. So we're looking forward to this report that'll be next year, so that we can see some of the areas of improvement. So in general, it was a very positive and encouraging report for all of us, and we have presented that to our academic committee.
Thank you, Dr. Reza. It was really good to hear all this, best practices and also some of the challenges that they identified. So we were happy for our accomplishments, and also there are room for improvement. So, and I don't know if the chairwoman would like to say something, but it was a good report.
It's exciting to hear that report, because we know from meeting after meeting how hard the members of our academic department have been working to improve, and how the staff out in the world, out in our campuses is where it counts, have been working as well to upgrade and improve and give opportunities to teachers and students to have the best experiences they can at Harmony. So we appreciate that and your leadership, Dr. Hoshi.
Yeah.
Doctor, please go ahead.
I thought it was brilliant in terms of the report itself. On the first page, where you have, it's just more of a grammatical setup, where you have the local credit courses, and on the career and technical education, you have a paragraph that's repeated. You may want to delete one of those paragraphs. The one that says, it is the policy of Harmony Schools not to discriminate on the basis of race, then it's repeated right next to it again, just after that. Other than that, I really appreciated the minutes.
Dr. Özer, I have a question. In item number 3, so this is my understanding, so you're going to pay more to the teachers in Lubbock and Odessa.
The Lubbock and Odessa teachers, they were eligible for a $50,000 priority bonus. For Lubbock and Odessa, it was shared equally among the teachers. The area superintendent came up with the budget. He said he had funding to be able to provide that bonus to the teachers. And he said that he needed to do this because he was afraid that he was going to lose more teachers. So our Harmony's teacher retention is about 80%, but Lubbock and Odessa are about 68%.
So my question was about, did you have, in that meeting, did you have anybody from finance team? But I think you got the feedback from the superintendent.
Yeah, the area superintendent presented it. I know he presented to.
So they have some budget for that.
Yeah, Mr. I and Mr. Yüksel, they have already.
So I was expecting something like this, an item, something like this should come to the finance committee meeting, but you got some feedback from the area superintendents, and so they have enough budget for that increase.
Yes, I believe so. Because
I mean, CEO was there too. Mr. I was there too, but the thing is, we are not paying them extra. It is, they did not exactly meet that 1% in the grade score, but because teacher retention is a big problem in Odessa and because of the oil back, up and down. So they were asking, the cluster superintendent was asking, can we make, and there's a really steady growth there. So for the last couple of years, can we make an exception so that we can allow them to take that bonus, which is already in budget, so we're not paying them extra, but we're making an exception.
My concern is this is something related to finance. Academic, definitely related.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Rosette, thank you very much. Very nice presentation.
What happened to the presentation on Austin and the performance plan that we wanted to put in place for them?
I'm not following up
Yeah,
on
I
that.
think it's coming, it's on the agenda, right? There's something about Austin. Yeah, we tabled it for from last time.
I think we are going to talk about the cluster office change and also campus name change. That's
We were talking about the performance that Austin was experiencing and what we were going to put in place to improve the scores. I have to pull it from the minutes.
okay. So that was something requested by the board in the past.
No, the last meeting, we had 3 items that we tabled. One was this appeal by, there was one appeal, but this was the last minute, the administration asked us to postpone that item, which we tabled out. But I think what happened, I see that part of it is here, the name changes, but the action plan, is that your question?
I think their main ask in that presentation was to change the cluster office, moving from Austin.
Some of the academic scores for Austin, I think, were lower than other schools. I'm trying to find where I read it.
I don't remember that.
I can follow up with
Okay, I don't.
what I'm
No, it wasn't on academic committee, it was on this board.
You're right, it was this board. You know how you showed me the presentation of the performance of all the schools and the graphs, and you showed the graphs that are in the top
Yes.
percentile, and you showed me the ones that were at the bottom. So there was supposed to be a plan on what we were going to do to improve, or what was the steps in place for the improvement of the ones that are at the bottom.
Just Austin or all of the ones?
I think Austin was the lowest.
Austin is one of them. The other one is San Antonio.
Oh, it's,
So-
it's off.
I
Austin
think
is
it
one
could
of them,
be-
and
it could be a
San Antonio
comprehensive
is
plan that included academics and then their enrollment issues and others, maybe? Would that
About their academic scores.
academic scores?
You know, I don't believe that's what we have in this board meeting, but we can bring that agenda back if you like in our next meeting.
Well, let's plan that for January meeting.
Sure,
And
definitely.
we have that item. I remember something like that too. So, but I don't remember, was it the academic or here or just, I think it was here, but
It was here.
I don't know what was it exactly.
I
But
think it was more about enrollment plan rather than academic, Ms. Morales. I think that's what we had on our agenda.
Right here.
so it's
And it was
enrollment
labeled the Austin
improvement plan.
Enrollment Improvement Plan, but it was not, I think we're calling it the Austin Enrollment Improvement Plan, but it also has to do with the academic scores that they have.
I think you are combining 2 things. This one was enrollment, they have serious enrollment problem and they come up with ideas and 2 of them are here to name change and office change. But also another issue from maybe that presentation that you remember, Austin, 2 schools are the lowest, I think they're priority schools and there was a discussion of what needs to be done. But that might not be part of that, the one that we tabled out, but we can definitely bring that and, ask about what's their, okay, if they have this enrollment action plan, what's their action plan for improving the academic scores as well.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
So we'll discuss that in the January?
Yeah, let's do that in January.
Is that something we also need to take up in the academic committee as well,
Yeah,
prior to coming to the January?
yeah.
So we'll revisit that again, yeah?
All right. So but we need a motion for this item.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the academic committee meeting minutes that was held on December the 8th as submitted.
Anybody seconding?
I second it.
Everyone in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Dr. Roser. Consider approval of amendments to the student handbook and Harmony Public Schools Promotion, Retention, and Remediation Policy, PG-2112. This sounds like either Ms. Baka or HR, no?
Handbook?
What, I remember this from, was this in our academic committee?
That's what I read it. I read it from the minutes of the academic committee.
I was going to say
Ms.
about the
Baka,
academic committee.
this is listed as operation item, Ms. Baka?
We have, Mr. Rai, we have on the academic committee, we have an item called high school updates, which was about this. This is different? Oh, okay.
This is what you were describing, right? Because of the audit.
Yeah, because of the audit, we did change one part in the high school handbook, but also Mr. Kaba, he is in the CTE department. I know Mr. Kaba and Ms. Baka talked about some other requirements that we had to update in the student handbook. I know Mr. Balaman was following up on, with you both. So this is mostly about also promotion policy. We had to change some language there. Again, we are not able to directly specify one group of students. So there had to be some language change.
Yes.
If you can explain more, maybe that'll help. And some other changes that they require on campuses, maybe.
Yeah, I was with the TA representatives during the campus visit. They visited Dallas main campus this Monday and Tuesday Waco new campus. So we had a meeting with them today as well. Findings were mostly about the building. Like we didn't have enough handicapped parking spot. We need to increase in one campus, add 3 more. So all of them are minor issues we will fix. And this was on student handbook as well. Prior to visiting campuses, they came to here in November 8 to the central office. Similar to the high school handbook, they suggested language change on student handbook as well. So those are the updates we need to get approval for.
Okay. What portions have been changed?
Yeah, it's not clear what portions have been changed here.
Yeah, I think...
So we have only just one copy, not the old version and the new version. There is only just one copy. We don't know which portion has been changed.
I mean, nothing was highlighted or there's no comparison.
I think Ms. Baka has that updates.
Replace it with the below language. This is transportation. One of one.
Just one page.
Transportation, current language, and then replace it with the below language. Current language, replace it with the below language.
101?
Yeah.
Ms. Baka, how urgent is this?
I think Mr. Lambert can help us on this.
Mr. Lambert, how urgent is this?
What was that?
How urgent is this?
Well, I know that Mr. Balaman sent this one to me specifically to discuss, so I can go over it with you right now. So it says current language, and it's going to say replace with. So on your documents, it's going to be listed as student handbook amendments.
This is an urgent matter.
Yes, urgent matter, yes, sir. So current language, it says, if a special needs student is receiving bus transportation as a result of an individual education plan, IEP, the Admissions Review and Dismissal, ARD Committee, will have discretion to determining appropriate disciplinary consequences for improper behavior in a school's vehicle. We're going to replace that with, if bus transportation is required as a result of an individual education plan, IEP, the Admissions Review and Dismissal, ARD Committee, will have discretion in determining appropriate disciplinary consequences for improper behavior in a school setting. So again, this is within your guys' attachments. The second is in regards to promotion on page 42 of the handbook. The current language states limited English proficiency students. Limited English proficiency LEP students are expected to meet the same promotion criteria as their same age, same grade, unless Language Proficiency Assessment Committee, LPAC, lowers NWEA MAP promotion standards based on students' English proficiency level. The GPC for a LEP student shall make its decisions in consultation with a member of the student's LPAC. So H, students with disabilities. Drivers are diverse learners receiving special education and related services under an individual education plan, IEP, are expected to meet the same promotion criteria as their same age, same gender, non-disabled peers, unless the IEP modifies the promotion criteria in whole or in part. This includes English learners with an IEP, any modified promotion. Standards for a student receiving special education services shall be determined by the student's admission, review, and dismissal, the ARD committee, and documented in the student's individual education program, IEP. We're going to replace it with the below language. So G, Limited English Proficiency Committee. Limited English Proficiency determination does not change the promotion criteria, but it requires the GPS consult with the relevant LPAC member before making a promotion decision when English proficiency is a consideration. However, the Language Proficiency Assessment Committee, LPAC, may lower NWEP MAP promotion standard depending on the English proficiency level. And then finally, H, ARD committee decisions. An IEP, individual education program, can modify the promotion criteria in whole or in part. Any modified promotion standard shall be determined by the patient or by the pertinent admission, review, and dismissal, the ARD committee, and documented in the individualized education program, IEP. And again, that is found in your attached documents listed as parent-student handbook amendments. The below language changes are made to the student handbook in response to the request from TEA School Improvement Division. That's a lot of it. Sorry.
Oh, no, okay. No, okay, so we have the document that shows what is being replaced with what. Okay, good, thank you. So if there's no question, comment, we need a motion to update the student handbook with these updates.
I make a motion to approve the amendments to the student handbook and HPS promotion and retention. And is that it?
Remediation policy.
PG/2.1.12.
Anybody seconding?
Second.
All right, everyone in favor of approving these amendments to those documents, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They're approved. Thank you, Mr. Kaba. All right, so our next item is consider approval of an amendment to the compensation manual.
Good evening, Board of Directors. So this is an addendum to the compensation manual to be able to pay non-exempt employees when there's a school closure, when an emergency happens. So for example, out of utilities or inclement weather. So for non-exempt employees, when they don't come to school for those emergency days, we have to have board approval in order to pay. So this item allows administration to pay 2 days maximum in the entire school year without coming to board, but decide administratively pay or not pay for those emergency days. So this will authorize, if you approve, this will authorize cluster administration to pay non-exempt employees up to 2 days during the entire year for the emergency closures. So remember,
is this total,
time to time.
Total 2 days?
Total of 2 days per school year.
Per school year.
Yes, you will authorize us to make decision, but if there may be happening more days, then we have to bring it to your attention.
Right.
So we can still choose to pay, but we have to bring it to your attention.
Sure. All right. And I think the next item is you are bringing it.
Yes, because we don't have to bring because happening all over the time, and it's not happening all schools at the one time. So for example, weather is different in Dallas, Austin, Houston, we're all over the place.
But I guess you were smart enough to bring it anyway, because if we approve it and you use it, it will be you used up one of those days, right? All right. So, anybody has a question or comments or want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve for approval of an amendment to the compensation manual.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
All right, everyone in favor of approving the amendment to the compensation manual, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. So the next item is very relevant. Consider approval of payment to non-exempt employees for the closure of the school day on November 3rd, 2017.
Yeah, this has happened in this, in these schools. So I separately brought it up because this happened before this approval. So that's why.
Oh.
So there was a utility, I think water outage, emergency. So we want to pay our non-exempt employees if you approve.
All right. I think on November 15 we approved. Was it the all other employees?
That was for all employees for Harvey.
No, that was specifically regarding that incident, the out of water incident. No, I remember correctly.
This year, I think I'm bringing it the first time, but we had a big one for Harvey.
Okay, I remember one. Maybe it was like waiver for students not coming, like to receive the funds. Maybe it was it, right?
Maybe that. But
for the same incident.
Last year, I had brought several times. I remember.
Okay. No, I remember. It was on about the same incident, but for us to receive TA funds, we did that. Okay. All right. So I know any motion or question, comments? We need a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the payment to non-exempt employees for the closure of the school day as requested.
I second.
All right. Everyone in favor of approving this payment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So review and approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment request to the TA to change the district site address for Harmony Science Academy, Austin, CDN 227816.
Good evening, everyone. So currently, our Austin district office is at the HSA Austin campus in Runberg, and they are planning to move to the political science site because they're trying to open up the space for for additional classrooms at the Runberg campus.
They are trying to move what?
They are currently at the Runberg campus, and they are moving to the political science campus in June to open up spaces for the Runberg campus.
Oh.
Classroom spaces.
We have a vacant space at Political Science Building currently, and where we do not have a wait list. But the campus where we have our cluster offices located, we have wait lists where we can enroll more students. They would like to move the cluster office to Political Science so they can enroll more students, help the enrollment next year.
If student doesn't come, you go to if the mountain issue. All right. And TA needs our approval for that, for cluster office address change? Yes, okay. All right, any motion?
So I make the motion to approve. Oh, sorry. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, I'm sorry, to change the district site address for Harmony Science Academy, Austin.
Any second?
Second.
You guys always second at the same time. All right.
Please go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
All right, Dr. Koch seconded. I heard him first. All right, so everyone in favor of approving this board resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's
Thank you.
approved. The next item is review and approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment request to the TA to change the campus name for Harmony School of Political Science and Communications, Austin, campus number 227816004, to Harmony School of Endeavor, Austin for Harmony Science Academy, Austin District, CDN 227816. So Harmony School of Political Science and Communication name will change to Harmony School of Endeavor, Austin.
Yes, sir. So the local administrators in Austin is requesting this name change because they feel that the current campus name, Harmony Science School of Political Science Communication, is misleading the public. They feel like the school is a STEM-based campus, but the political science name, it doesn't really, they really don't have enough programs to put emphasis on political science communication, so they feel like the name change would be best. And the Endeavor falls under our name pattern.
Parents don't want their kids to be politicians. Is that the reason? They want them to be engineers and doctors.
Scientists.
Scientists.
I think it's a good move.
Thank you.
I make a motion. This is what I meant to say. I would like to make a motion.
As an engineer?
As an engineer, yes. So I make a motion to approve a board resolution to submit a non-expansion amendment request to TEA to change the campus name for Harmony School of Political Science and Communication, Austin, to Harmony School of Endeavor, Austin, for Harmony Science Academy, Austin District.
Second.
Everyone in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Waka. All right, so the next item is consider approval and ratification of the minutes and of the actions of the Governance Committee meetings on December 4, 2017 and December 8, 2017. All right. Mr. I now realize, I mean, for each committee, a staff member presents it. I guess for the governance, the next time, maybe you should be the one who presents it. But this time, I helped put together the minutes, so I'll be providing a summary. We had to have two meetings, like very, close to each other, December 4th, and because we couldn't finish working on the, especially the process and guidelines to recruit new board members, which was assigned duty to us at this board, last board meeting. So very quickly, the first one, we did not take any action, but we use mostly board on track documents and guidance from Marcy and Seth, one of her staff, to guide this work. And we went through the documents. Some of the documents make sense for Harmony. Some of them are, they're just very broad and very generic, and we need some urgent work. So, we went through those. So one of the initial work that we decided, there were a lot of items. So what is the job description and what should governance committee should focus on? It's mostly the efficiency and the running these meetings, board recruitment strategies, and facilitate this work on behalf of the board, and then come back to board for approval. So. Analyze the skills and experience needed on the board, create a short, long-term board recruitment strategy, work with board chair and CEO on a succession plan for board officers. And officers, generally, it's used for board members as well, if it just says officers. All right, so develop and review annually the procedures for board recruitment, develop an orientation training for new trustees, assist in planning of annual board retreat, and other deeper strategy sessions, develop and revise a board member handbook outlining responsibilities of the board and to board members, board policies, and other relevant information, conduct and coordinate board training as needed and required by law, create measurable board level annual goals, a yearly evaluation, and evaluate the board meeting effectiveness as well. And so we started working on the orientation process and guideline, which we did not have time to finish, but the next meeting we did. We also talked about what kind of skill sets we need We need college transition expertise and network. We need business and finance. We need legal. We need advocacy, especially people that will provide this network and help to us. There was no action, as I said. The second one, which I just want to go through this real quick, and then this December 8th meeting. So, because there was no action in December 4th. This is the current nomination process and guideline using mostly board on track documents. And some of the recommendations really, made sense, and then some of them we changed just a little bit. But the idea is to plan, kind of take our annual meeting as a baseline and then plan before that. So map backwards.
What is your annual meeting?
September meeting.
Okay, you've identified it by board policy?
No, it's in the bylaws says September meeting is our, annual meeting.
So
and
we didn't have one this year.
We had one.
Annual meeting?
Yeah. The September meeting is our annual meeting, and every other year, annually, we have a board position election. Like this year was not that year, but upcoming September, we will elect the board chair, vice chair, those positions again.
So
the year before we did that.
So we consider the September meeting just our annual meeting? It's not like a
Yeah.
special?
Yeah, there's no special, but yeah.
We don't go off to a retreat or anything?
No, but that's a good question. There's a good question. We have discussed a lot of things. For example, this, as you know, CEO evaluation, we always do it in August. And our CEO, new interim CEO, was asking, is this like, do we have to do it in August? Why is maybe doing it in June might be better, so that our feedback, that he can use it, before the school year starts, and so on and so forth. So these are the things that we might decide, okay, doing our annual meeting in September is too late, let's do it in July, or things like that. So that's, and we know that Mary also pointed some of the, little things in our bylaws. So our bylaws need some visit. We kind of revisit after we do all this. So planning, it will be best if we can, and it says here, unless there's a vacancy, which we have now, unless there's a vacancy, to plan, okay, new board members will kind of join us at annual meeting, okay? So that will help us to plan everything ahead, because we have to start 3 months in advance, to, start recruiting and then put together all this. So create and revise officer job description. We are working on this, but annually we'll visit that. Evaluate performance of current officers, ask full board for nominations. So once we have this structure and we approve it, like currently we have one vacancy, we'll ask for, which we did kind of last, but we can ask again, do you have any candidates or, nominations? And also for once we have the, vacancy filled, now that we will plan, and then maybe, we know that by next annual meeting, 2 board members are leaving. So we'll start this discussion again on this board and say, if you have any, good candidates, let us know, and this type of work. And after asking these nominations, the governance committee start working on the potential candidates, resume review and initial discussion, identify potential candidates, schedule one of the recommendations was a school tour, which we also liked a lot, and we have done that actually with other board members, potential board members. So we said it should include a school tour, and meeting should be there on campus with the participation of board chair, CEO, and one committee member, and or the board member who is nominating that candidate. The meeting is informal, but we have developed a kind of set of questions to ask informally. It's not going to be interview to this candidate, so that to guide our discussion. I mean, we don't have to have a piece of paper and just ask and take notes. Provide the expectations, job descriptions. Again, this is on our committee that we are developing this job description duties for board members, basically using best practices and documents from Board on Track. And committee evaluate the candidate, the initial meeting, how it went, and then evaluate the candidate responses to each question. And then the committee will vote on a candidate for each open position and then make a recommendation to the board. So the committee still did not make a decision. It comes here and it will be voted here. The board, full board discusses and votes.
The full board or the full board? B-U-L-L or full board?
My printout is full board.
Oh, yours is F-U-L-L?
Yeah.
Mine is B-U-L-L.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a typo there.
Mr. I identified that and he changed it, but I guess...
It was embedded in the agenda.
Yeah.
I guess we changed it on another version.
Yeah, and you know, I think they're wrong. So, no pun intended. The bull board, okay. Well, yeah, things happen. All right, so, and there were two recommendations which we did not put as, you know, those part of this process, but we felt it's important because, frankly, you know, I met Marcy first at the Charter School Conference 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and this was one of the, you know, striking. I was very interested in a couple things, but this was the most striking one that she recommended, and there were other charters who said they are doing it, is inviting potential candidates to serve on committees as non-board members first. This helps for us to get to know them and for them to get to know us also. There are a lot of misconceptions about charters, about Harmony specifically, other things, and sometimes even people don't want to, you know, serve on a, you know, full board first because it has liability and, you know, other issues. So this, to have them, you know, serve on a finance committee or facilities committee or academic or governance or whichever for 6 months, help both sides to, you know, kind of get to know each other and see, you know, if it is a really good candidate for the full board. And also the second one, which is seek input from the CEO. And so it's listed here. The questions, I don't know, I guess you have the copy. We don't have to go through them, but mostly it's try to get to know candidate personally. It's just part of that meeting, but specifically what do they know about our school system? Do they have any experience, bad or good, or any, you know, they hear anything about, or how can they help us to improve this board? You know, if there's any conflict of interest, what do they think about charters? Can they commit, you know, 10 hours a month to participate board meetings plus, you know, committee meetings and other related activities? I know that other charters.
So I only have to do 10 hours a month?
No, this is for new ones. You're already committed.
They always.
And we are not supposed to tell them some of our meetings goes until 4 a.m. So nobody tell them, all right? And I know that I don't want to tell the name, but certain charter schools, which I thought they kind of give a list, like there are like non-negotiables, like okay, you come to board meeting, you serve in a committee. And the annual retreat is really important because we haven't started doing that. After we do it once, maybe we'll say this is also in the expectations and duties. So the action was we took a vote on this, approving this, which we approved. So that's about it.
Again, one more thing. These are the questions. These are like some suggested questions for the. So just one. I would like to add one thing. So these are some sample questions. We may ask more or we may ask less. So, and we are going to ask these questions when we take the possible board member to a school. So it is very informal. So it is not like, you don't want to just exactly look like we are reading and just taking notes. So these are like some questions we may ask in an informal setting.
The only thing I have is a question on the this board member nomination process and guidelines. I was a little confused because 1 through 4 is talking about officers, and then 5 starts talking about potential candidates.
Yeah.
So it didn't match the title.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit confusing. I also want, you know, today I read it again when I print them out. 1 through 4, the officers, the current board members, the idea is you evaluate, hopefully once we get there, and we say, okay, for example, person X is good, okay, we should ask him to stay more, or, evaluate, like, we have these skills from this, Daisy's from this background, Dr. Koch brings this skill sets, but we miss this skill. So that the idea is you start with evaluating your current officers, and then that helps you to identify them. That's why it's that way.
Maybe just
Yeah, you're right, but you're right. So again, that's the December 4th, December 8th. It's just, we try to do our best. All right. So we are seeking for your approval, a motion, and approve this documents, this actions and the minutes.
I read everything, so I feel very comfortable to make a motion to consider the approval, or to approve the minutes and the actions of the governance committee for meeting on December 4th and December 8th.
I'll go ahead and second the motion.
All right, everyone in favor of approving this 2 meeting minutes and the actions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They are approved. Thank you. All right, so that takes us our last item, consultation with the board's attorney regarding legal issues related to agreement regarding advocacy. And so at this point, we are going to go back to closed session as permitted by and in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551071, to hear from our legal counsel. It's 11:23 p.m. We are back to regular session. There was no action taken. So I think the next item is adjourning the meeting, if we have a motion. Is there any closing remarks?
Sure. Thank you all for such a spirited discussion.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Anybody?
Second.
All right, seconded. Everyone in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.